Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining this very special Lumen Live. I'm Emma. I'm going to be your host today. I am from the Lumen community, and I'm really honored to host this session today. So today's session is going to be all about the wake-up breath. We're going to talk about what the wake-up breath tells you. We're going to talk about what it means for your body and your personal health goals. And we're going to talk about taking a closer look into factors like sleep and like stress and how these can impact our metabolism. We're also going to learn how we can best support our metabolism, and we're going to leave you with some great strategies and some tips that you can take with you to help you manage your cortisol and increase your muscle mass. So for all the information that we're going to share with you today, you can find it later on our Instagram page at lumen.me, and you can find it also in our Facebook community. And for those of you that have a Lumen, you can find it in the app, actually in the Explore tab for deeper explanations. So before we dive into the physiology behind the wake-up breath, I'd like to introduce you to Lumen's co-founders, Dr. Merav and Michal Mor. Both PhD physiologists at the forefront of metabolic health research, and Merav and Michal have dedicated their life and their careers to empowering us all to become more metabolically flexible. It's very exciting, and I'm really honored to work with you and to host you today and to have you here.
It sounds so serious.
Thank you.
For us, we are just having fun.
It's a great accomplishment. So today we're kicking off a new series with the Lumen Live events, and we're starting a series dedicated to each of the Lumen breaths. So for those of you who are Lumen members, you already know that each of the breath gives you an answer to a question. Your pre-workout breath helps you to determine if you should fuel up before a workout. Your fasting breath helps you to determine, should I keep fasting, should I stop fasting? And today we're going to focus on the most important Lumen breath, the wake-up breath. So Merav, Michal, can you give us a little introduction to this breath? What is the wake-up breath? When should we be taking it? What could we learn from this breath, and why is it so important?
Of course,
Sure.
Emma.
First of all, thank you for this introduction, Emma.
I have to say that, the wake-up breath is my favorite breath of all.
Mine also.
Obviously, since, the wake-up breath gives us an answer to questions that Merav and I had almost 20 years ago, and this is what brought us, eventually, to founded Lumen. So I think it was 2011.
13 years ago.
13 years ago,
Wow.
we were training for our first Ironman competitions, and it was super clear for us that we need to manage very carefully our nutrition and our workout routine and our sleep in order to make sure we have enough time to recover, in order our body engine, our metabolism will work properly and enable us to get closer to our goal, which was improve athletic performance, and won in the competition. But
We were so competitors.
we were so competitive.
We were so competitors there then, and we are so competitors today.
Yes, but in the good side of it, we had so many questions. How much carbs we should eat around the workout, how much carbs we should eat on days that we are not working out, how much sleep we should have in order to support recovery and muscle growth. Are we insert into stress mode because we are training too much? Because as Merav said, we were extremely competitors. And the beautiful thing is that all of those questions are getting an answer in the wake-up breath. Now, I know that, obviously, we're all different. Merav and I, our goal was to improve our athletic performance. Others want to feel better in their body, to increase energy, to return back to the vitality they felt like 10 years ago. But what we found, which is common to all of us, or at least, 99% of us, is those daily questions that we keep asking ourselves every day when we wake up. What should I do? What should I do in order to achieve my goal? What should I do? And if the things that I'm already doing are working for me, is that the right, am I doing the right things that going to give me the highest impact? And those fundamental questions that we are asking ourselves every day, wake-up breath is giving the answer. So a very long intro, but I'm sorry.
A passionate one.
Very passionate. I think just before we continue, because I hear many times, there's a little bit confusion around the wake-up breath. we need to understand that the wake-up breath actually enables us two different values. They are very, very connected to each other and depends each other, yet these are two different values. One is the metabolic health score, or as Lumen users familiar with, the flex score. So the flex score takes into account multiple wake-up breaths over time and provides us an assessment of where are we in the range of metabolic health. The second value the wake-up breath enables us is, as Michal mentioned, a real-time biofeedback on our metabolic state, or if to be more specific, on our mitochondria state. And the fact that we are able to measure our mitochondria state on a daily basis enables us to take smarter and impactful decisions in our lifestyle toward reaching our goals. So think of it like it enables us to be very engaged on a daily basis toward a long-term goals. And it also provides us a feedback whether we are in the right track. So I think this is the superpower of the wake-up breath, both of them. We have like the short loop that enable us validation to see what we should do, what affected us, and the long term that it actually determine our metabolic health.
I think that one of the problem that, or the challenge that we have today is that when we are incorporate, a new strategy, a new habit, it takes time to see the results. It might take, a month in order you stand on the scale and see if something is working or not. So I want to
Emphasize
what Merav said. This wake-up breath is like giving us this small loop, this self-validation that what we are doing is the right thing for us.
Like a motivation to keep us
A
going.
motivation,
And keep you engaged with your health and not like once a quarter when you go to a physician or stand on the scale.
Yeah. So it's really giving us a look, like you say, at that mitochondrial state in the moment, but also over time in the long run and towards our metabolic health as a whole. So
Exactly.
how can one breath do this? How is it possible? How? Tell us.
It's a great question, Emma. I like to think on the wake-up breath as as a game. Yes, and and as in every game, if you understand the rules of the game, so it's pretty simple, and not only it's simple, it's even fun. So what are the rules of the game of the wake-up breath?
Okay.
We have 3 rules. Everything is free. 3 children, 3 rules, 3 husbands. 3 rules. One is around what is a good result and what is a bad result. The second refers to the why behind. So if I see that I'm not seeing a good result, I'm asking myself, why? What brought me to that? And the third is, what can I do in order to fix what is holding me back? So I'm going back to the first rule.
Rule number 1. Okay.
Rule number 1. What is good and what is bad? So we all know that a healthy mitochondria should know how to use fat, but also how to use carbs, and switching between them depend on the context. A healthy mitochondria will use fat when we are in fasting and resting condition. This is why when we take the wake-up breath, we want to see, which is after an overnight fast, and we are in resting, we want to see that our mitochondria is relying mostly on fat.
We want to see those 1s and 2s.
We want to see those 1 and 2. That means that our mitochondria state is in a good state. It means that it has that energy in order to help us pass amazing the day. But if we see that we wake up on carb burn, it means that the mitochondria state are not in a good state, momentarily, not as Merav said, over time, momentarily. But if we're going to see, like, we're gonna wake up more often on carb burn, over time, we will decrease our flex score, we will deteriorate our metabolic flexibility, and we will get far away from our goals. So this is rule number 1. Ready for rule number 2?
I'm ready.
So why? I mean, what is the what is the meaning? I mean, why sometimes I'm burning fat and sometimes I'm burning carbs? What does it mean? The amazing thing with the wake-up breath is that it's holding everything, all my activities, under the 4 lifestyle elements: nutrition, movement, sleep, and mind. It means that it's the end of the funnel, it's the results. So, if I'm burning mostly fat, it means that all my activities, it's very important to say, it's the balance of everything. It doesn't mean that I'm doing everything right in the nutrition, in the movement, and sleep, and stress management. It means that the aggregation of everything is working for me. So it can be that, for example, I'm eating more carbs that I need, but I also increase my daily steps.
So they end up balancing out. They end
Exactly.
up to, okay.
It can be that, I'm overstressed at work, but I balanced it with a good night's sleep. So at the end, if I see that I wake up on fat burn, it means that I'm on track. It means that I'm good to go. But if I'm waking up on carb burn, it means that those 4 lifestyle elements are not in balance.
We need to remember that beside those 4 lifestyle elements, there are scenarios that are not under our control. For example, all kind of illness and different. Our metabolism is changing as a response to our different phases of the monthly cycle. We talked about it, and probably we will talk about it more in the future, or in premenopause and etc.
Okay, so you said there was 3 rules,
Yeah,
and
the
we
3
only
one.
got to 2. But wait, before we dive into the last rule, which is what we can do, let's back up for a second. Let's talk about these 4 elements a little bit deeper. So we said that they're nutrition, exercise, sleep, and stress or mind. And we want to dive into these a little bit. So can we tell us how these kind of work together and how we can balance them, what they mean?
Of course. So first of all, I think many of us tend to focus a lot on nutrition, and it's fine. It's great that we are doing.
Sense.
Makes sense.
Most of the time.
Yeah, because nutrition is indeed a crucial element that affects our mitochondria. Yet, sleep, stress, and activity has a huge impact on our mitochondria as well. And also, we see that there is a very strong association with health issues such as obesity, insulin resistance, heart failure, neurodegenerative disease, inflammation, and even cancer. So we need to remember that these elements also, we need to manage them. Just to give you, I think, a little bit about how poorly we manage those other lifestyle elements. When we look, for example, in the past year in US, you see that almost 33% of adult Americans reported insufficient sleep. It means, it's amazing. It means that, think of it, 70 million only adult Americans suffered from it.
Wow.
When you
Big
look
number.
on chronic stress, almost 75% reported mild to high chronic stress. It's when I heard this number, I was shocked. 75%.
Wow.
And when you look on activity level, for example, you see that 25% consider to be physically inactive, and this number, all the time, trend going up, especially in the last 2 years, and it keep increasing.
I think since COVID, there is a dramatic increase.
Yeah, and
in sedentary
exactly
lifestyle.
due to either screen time screen, and also a lot of working from home arrangement that since COVID significantly increased. So we must remember that we need to manage all those lifestyle elements. And again, it's true that nutrition is a crucial player, but there's also the other one.
Yes, it's crucial for the ones that are not managing it carefully. But for me, for example, obviously nutrition won't be what I should probably start with. Probably my problem is more around sleep or
because
or
again, it's a
stress.
matter of balance. So you
Yeah.
have when you want to balance, maybe the impactful thing for you to manage is not nutrition, because you're okay with your
Yes.
nutrition habits.
So there's a lot of variables here that are preventing us from reaching fat burn in the morning. And these numbers, they're shocking. They're really scary. So let's continue about what we can do, how we can get out of these numbers and these declining or the increasing amount of Americans that are not active. So we know that we want to wake up with the ones and the twos, but there's a lot of variables that prevent that. And 1 and a 2 is a good compass. It's how we know that what we're doing in our lifestyle choices are keeping us on track. So a lot of us are not waking up at a 1 and a 2. And when we asked the community for their questions leading up to the event, a lot of people said, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating all my protein. I'm doing my high intensity workout. I'm drinking water. I'm going to bed. But I'm still not waking up in those low numbers.
So empathic to this. Yes.
You're still not getting the results that you're expecting. So what can we do, and how can we start to wake up in those 1s and the 2s? How can we start to balance these 4 elements?
Yeah, it's true. But first of all, it's not that simple, because it's all, at least I think it's not that simple. Because our 4 lifestyle elements are, I don't say like interconnect to each other. What may cause us many times to bark like under the wrong tree, in a sense. And many times we can find ourselves put a lot of effort handling the symptoms instead of managing the root cause of it. Just a short example. For example, when we are not getting enough sleep. Okay? So what happens? There are several physiological mechanisms that will occur. One of them is hormonal imbalance. Okay, there's I will do it very, very shortly. But for example, there's ghrelin hormone that will rise, and then we will feel much more hunger during the day. Second thing is our body will feel in stress. So there's increase in cortisol level, and we will find ourselves seeking to consume more
cookies.
No, there's a name for it, like comfort food. Okay,
Yeah.
so these are much more like the simple carbs. Third, it's really affect our cognitive state. So we will find it more difficult to prefer healthy nutrition versus a processed food. And last, it also will. We will feel like we need more energy, because when our body tired, it needs okay, I need more energy. And then what happens? Immediately we will turn into processed food, especially simple carbs. All of it, eventually, what will happen? We will eat more processed and simple carbs than what we planned. And then we will say to ourselves, tomorrow I must keep on what I eat. And it's true. If we will handle the root cause, we will find it much easier to also keep on our nutrition. So this is when I'm saying it's all connect.
Yeah.
Sometimes I want to add to that what Merav said, because when we are bark on the wrong tree, it basically is like also a loop that gradually we feel like we don't have this willpower, we are failing, but I'm trying again. I'm waking up and I'm saying, okay, but today I'm not going to eat those cookies. But it's not about the willpower. It's about the fact that I'm not getting enough sleep. It's putting my circadian rhythm out of sync, causing all the list that Merav said, which this is what pushed me to eat that cookies. So if we are not understanding the root cause and handling that, we are not really putting our effort on what will have the highest impact.
And there's a lot of connection. You can maybe sometimes do too much exercise, and then you're too much in a caloric deficit, and then you will find yourself again eating the fridge instead of managing your exercise routine, or maybe and
even eat more than what you used to. So
it's really reassuring to think that it's not my willpower and I don't need to restrict myself harder. It's actually maybe sleep, or maybe I'm tired, and I notice this in myself. When I'm tired, I want the cookies. You want the chocolate when you're tired.
Especially afternoon.
So it's really reassuring to know that it's not just my lack of willpower. It's actually something else going on.
Even the willpower and our motivation is an output of the physiology process that is happening inside our body. is not just, okay, I want to have more willpower. Okay,
Yeah.
but why? I mean, what is happening here? Those different hormones affect our willpower, our motivation.
Wow. So it's exciting. It's reassuring that it's okay. It's not my willpower. It's an issue that we can find. We can find this issue, and it may be something that we haven't even considered yet. So how are we supposed to find out what the cause is? Because Michal, you said it was going to be easy. You said it was simple. Simple, not easy. So how do we break it down? What are we looking for to guide us to find this root cause?
So I want to go back to rule number 3 that you didn't let me finish. But rule number 3 refers exactly to that. How the wake-up breath is enable me to understand what are the action I need to take in order to have the highest impact. Now, here I want to introduce to you 6 mediators or players, or the way I like to call it, the 6 marvels. And I know Merav will laugh now because she likes comics.
I saw, in the weekend, I did binge of all Spider-Man's movie.
The last one is amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, yes. So those 6 marvels, those mediators are basically mediate between my action under the 4 lifestyle elements and my mitochondria. So they are enable us to narrow down and to understand the root cause of what is not working for us. So, for example, we'll understand that the root cause of what is not working for me is my circadian rhythm. Mm-hmm. The second goal of those 6 marvels is to give me like a library, an option, a list of different strategies that I can take in order to fix my problem. So it's also, well, from one hand, it's putting, it's putting my focus on where is the problem, and from the other hand, it gives me also the option in order to fix it.
Different strategies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just to make sure I understand, we have 6 mediators.
Yeah.
And the 2 goals are to understand the root cause and then to find a habit or a option to help us balance our lifestyle.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so the lifestyle impacts the mediators. Mm-hmm. The mediators then impact our mitochondrial state. Mm-hmm. And then over time, our mitochondrial state helps to understand how we're impacting our overall metabolic health.
Exactly.
Nice.
Perfect.
Okay.
You got it.
Got it? Cool. So let's jump into the mediators, because I know in the community a lot of people want, okay, but what can I do? How can I do it? And I think a lot of people on their health journey, even not in our Lumen community, they feel the same. Like, okay, there's a lot of information. What do I do? Mm-hmm. So walk me through it. I wake up in carb burn and I think, okay, maybe it's something impacting my mitochondria. So maybe I had some wine last night or beer, and then I went to sleep later, so I slept less. So what can I do now today to help myself get balanced?
So before I jump into that, I just want to list all the 6. We have 1, which is our circadian rhythm, which is our body internal clock, tells our mitochondria when it's a good time to rest and when to wake up and produce energy.
I think that while you are listing it, there is on the screen like introducing these
visualization. Wow, what a visualization!
So list it slow.
List it slow.
Okay, the first one,
circadian rhythm.
Cool.
The second is our cortisol, which is our body stress hormone. The third is insulin sensitivity, Meravi's favorite one.
Definitely.
We will dive into it.
Disease. Every time we talk about disease, you look at me.
The fourth is CoQ10, my favorite. The fifth is our muscle mass, which are packed with a lot of mitochondria, if you remember from the last live session. And the last one is our glycogen, which is our body carb reserve. So now going back to your question.
Okay, so with these 6 in mind, I wake up in carb burn, and what can I do from these 6 mediators? How do I take them into balancing my life?
Cool.
My day.
Cool. So let's start with the circadian rhythm.
Okay.
Yes. So as I said, is our body internal clock. Lets our mitochondria know when is a good time to rest during the night and when they should produce energy during the day. When the circadian rhythm is out of sync, it means that it gives confusion, mixed signal to our mitochondria, which pushing them to rely more on carbs when we wake up in the morning.
Okay.
The things that you can do in order to get back your circadian rhythm on sync are things like avoiding screen before bedtime, avoid heavy meal before going to bed, and keep your sleep routine consist. So those are like the 3 things that you can try, measure in the morning, and see whether now your wake-up breath is starting to shift into using more fat.
So I remember we did in the community, we did a little challenge where we asked community members to implement some of these habits that you just talked about for circadian rhythm specifically. And we had one of our community members, Drake, and he shared with us that limiting his screen time before bed, especially at night, helped him to go from sleeping 5-6 hours before waking up to actually start sleeping 7-8 hours.
Amazing.
So he felt the impacts of better sleep just by reducing that screen time before bed, and then you start to see the kind of butterfly effect in other areas just from screen time.
We need also, I think, to remember that, and maybe we will touch it a little bit later, but we need to remember that sometimes this action, it takes time. We should not expect to do something one day and to see an immediate impact on our mitochondria
It might take
state.
2 days, 3 days.
It depends. It depends on.
So we should
on
try things for 3, 4, a week even before we can really know if it's working for us.
I just remember that we had a challenge in the community in which we gave them like a challenge to everyone will try to finish their last meal 1 hour earlier, and then taking the wake-up breath and to share the results and what was everyone like share the impact it was on their own body. We need to do more challenges, Emma.
We need to do this. We need to do this one again in the people that didn't do it the last time, because it was so interesting for them to see how just having dinner at 6 instead of 7 really helped me in the morning. I got a 2 instead of a 3. It was really impactful. So we will do this again. So I have questions here from our community that we gathered, and I have like 6 questions here about cortisol. So we know cortisol is one of the mediators, actually. So how does this come into play? And can you tell us what we can do to help us manage our cortisol?
Sure. So cortisol, our body stress hormone or our body performance hormone, is like it's pushing our body to use our mitochondria, to use more on carbs when we need a boost in energy, which is a good thing. But when we are all the time in stress, cortisol level is consistently high. It's push our mitochondria overwork on carbs, which eventually create a lot of oxidative stress in the mitochondria, damage their membrane, and over time it's decreased their lifespan. This ends up with waking up more on carb burn instead of fat burn, because with less mitochondria we are less able to use fat for fuel in the morning. So the things that we can do there, especially here, is like we have a variety of things, a huge variety, because on each one of us, different things can reduce his stress. I mean, it can be from, the obvious meditation and slow breathing technique.
Music.
Listen
to like relaxed music.
It can be things like, just walking in the park or listen to music, as Merav said. And it can be things like, just going out with friends or be with your loved ones.
So which one's your favorite? Both of you, how do you like to manage your cortisol? Because like we said, it's basically how we relax for ourselves. So share with us just what works for you.
I do yoga in the morning, like 3 times a week. I wake up early. It needs to be very early before the kids wake up. I do like 50 minutes yoga session, relaxation.
By yourself,
and
quiet.
For me, it's like it's this, Emma. It's like this is my moment of
what is it? No one sees it.
I wake up in 5 a.m. I'm sitting in the balcony. I'm listening to birds. I'm seeing the sun, like, and just stare.
Moments for yourself before the day starts.
And this is my cortisol moment.
Amazing. Okay, so we talked about circadian rhythm. We talked about cortisol. Now, Merav, it's your favorite one. Insulin sensitivity. So, first of all, what is insulin? And what does insulin sensitivity mean? I feel like this word is around a lot lately. We're hearing this a lot more on social media. And so what does it mean?
So insulin is a hormone. The job of that hormone is it's to open the gate on our cells to allow sugar, glucose, from the blood to insert into the cells and be used by the mitochondria to produce energy. So when we are not insulin sensitive or develop insulin resistance, it means that the insulin is not able to open the gate on the cells. It means that, for example, after we eat, there is increase in glucose in the blood, but instead of now that glucose insert into the cells, be used for energy by the mitochondria, our body convert it into fat. So it leads to fat accumulation.
Okay.
So
We published, I think it was like a few months ago, a very nice study, the biggest study ever done on metabolic flexibility. And we showed how people with high BMI,
ever done in the world, not ever done by Lumen, I think.
yeah, in the world. And we showed that people with a high BMI tend to find it more difficult to oxidize carbs following meals. So one of the reasons might be is that they are on the spectrum of insulin resistance. So they find it more difficult to oxidize carbs because insulin does not open enough the cells. So then carbs is not getting into the cells and not well being oxidized.
If even to simpler, when we are more metabolically flexible and we are more insulin sensitive, basically means that you can enjoy more carbs without risking in gain weight.
Okay.
Because you immediately oxidize the carb instead of storing
it, you're using it
as fat.
So how can we improve our insulin sensitivity? What are some of these practical tips that we can do?
So I would split it into on two areas. One, those are things that we can do in order to avoid that spike in glucose in our blood or to slow down the increase in our blood glucose. So those things can be focus on complex carbs and adding vegetables or fat to each meals in order to slow down the absorption rate from the digestive system into the blood.
Okay.
And the second things that we can do, the area is around helping the insulin to do the job. So things like walking or HIIT workout. Yeah, those things will open the gate in our cells, and then insulin, it's without insulin. It's open the gate even without you need this spike of insulin. So over time, it's helping the insulin to do the job, and you can be much more sensitive to insulin.
So this is like walking a few minutes after a meal. This helps us with our insulin.
This is the why behind that.
This is the why. So
behind the tips.
Even when I don't want to walk after a meal, I'm so tired. I just ate my dinner. I should get up, even if it's for 5-10 minutes. It's worth it. It's worth putting the shoes on.
Yeah, because it will open up the gate on your cells, and will allow the food from your absorption system that moved into the blood to insert into the cells and to be used for energy instead of your body will store this as body fat.
And just flop on the couch.
So
I'll have energy. Maybe I'll have energy to do the dishes when I get back
you're
from
the one
walk.
that do the dishes? This is your job?
Yeah, it's me. So the walk
This
and
is
then
her
the
job.
dishes. That's the order. So circadian rhythm, cortisol, insulin sensitivity. I think these words, a lot of people have heard of these words. They're kind of buzzwords. The next one, though, I'm not sure a lot of us have heard of. So the next mediator is CoQ10.
My favorite.
Your favorite. So Michal, tell us, what is CoQ10?
I will say why it's my favorite.
Okay.
Because although we're not familiar of what is the CoQ10, we're all familiar with what are the things that can help us boost it. So it's like the obvious things, like making sure that we are drinking enough water and making sure that we are eating vegetables and focus on complex carbs, on lentils and peas. Those are the things that rich in antioxidant that will help boost the Q10. So what is the Q10?
Okay. So complicated name, but pretty easy tips.
Pretty easy.
Okay.
Because you need to, first of all, understand that when our mitochondria is using fat or carbs to produce energy, in that process, it also produces oxidative stress, which is completely normal.
Okay.
But when the fact that we have that Q10 is like neutralize those antioxidant, those oxidative stress, and by that it like protect the membrane of the mitochondria. And by that we can keep more mitochondria. More mitochondria mean more fat burn in the morning. But when we are not eating, those healthy diet, and we are eating more, junk food than we need, then we have a lot of oxidative stress, but we don't have enough Q10 in order to neutralize this. Mm-hmm. So in that moment, those oxidative stress damage the membrane of the mitochondria. Over time, we're shortening their lifespan. Less mitochondria, less fat burn in the morning.
So, okay, if we're...
Drop the mic.
If we know that eating junk food is not good for us, eating the pizza, eating this, it's part of life. We're going to do it anyways.
Yeah.
So does that mean to support our Q10, we should make sure on the days that we are going to eat the pizza, that we incorporate vegetables first, we have lots of water that day? Is this a way to still enjoy those things, because we're going to, so we might as well help ourselves, we might as well support our bodies. So adding vegetables, drinking lots of water, especially on those days, right?
Exactly. I think this is it was a great, comment, because, we're all human. Usually Merav saying it, we're all human. And, we all sometimes eat that, over pizza, and sometimes, we want to eat those, full pack of cookies. We just need to balance it with enough water, and with vegetables. Maybe cookies and vegetables are not going
so
right together.
together.
Yes, but vegetables with pizza, this can work, no?
Yeah. Small salad on the side.
Yeah, small salad on the side.
Yeah. Cool. So the next one is muscle mass. So increasing your muscle mass will help you to support your mitochondria, help you have healthy mitochondria, which will help us to wake up and fat burn, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we also did a challenge in the community about muscle mass, and we had Karen, from the community, she shared with us that focusing on the appropriate amount of protein has really helped her, and actually she uses the word became a game changer for her. So she said with the last few years she's been dealing with perimenopause and menopause, and it's thrown her kind of for a loop physically and mentally. And she says, and I want to share it with you, that thanks to Lumen and the protein recommendation, she was able to start feeling like herself again, and like she says, to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So tell us why protein is so important for our muscle mass, and why this is true, why it can really help us. Like, what about our muscle mass is so important to our mitochondria?
Muscle mass are packed with mitochondria. It's like the house, the home of our mitochondria. So when we have more muscles, we basically have more mitochondria, and again, everything ends up with being able to wake up on fat burn in the morning, which indicate of a healthy mitochondria state that will enable us to have the energy that we need for that day, which will over time will improve our metabolic flexibility, our flex score, and will enable us to get closer to our goals, whatever they will be.
So other than protein, what else can we do to improve our muscle mass? So eating protein, following the Lumen recommendations for protein is important. And
resistance exercise is definitely a strategy that we should embrace in order to maintain our muscle mass. And if I can remark on, the comment from Karen from the community, it's super crucial, because especially in premenopause and menopause, we are much more sensitive to muscle breakdown. So especially in this period, it's much more, we need to be much more tentative to our body and make sure we follow enough resistance training, aiming to maintain our muscle mass.
Another thing, and I think we also mentioned it, you mentioned it at the beginning of this live session, is to make sure that we have enough carbs before the workout. So the pre-workout breath.
Oh no, you're taking the next live session that should handle the next breath. No. This is part you said
next time. We'll get to that the next time.
Rules of the game. The rules of this game
for the pre-workout
is to keep us focused on the wake-up breath.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. So I just want to touch on like what is resistance training, just really quickly. Because Weightlifting. Okay, and it doesn't have to be crazy CrossFit. It can be my 4-pound weights at home, right?
Yeah,
it
but
still counts.
It also can be like body weight, like doing squats. You don't have to. You don't have to use.
You don't have to lift heavy.
Okay, I think sometimes it's intimidating to. Resistance training sounds like I need to be at the gym and the bar and everything.
You can
so
do
it can
like,
be body weight. It can
body
be
weight,
with small weights at home. It's many forms.
Yeah, many
forms. Wanted to clear that up. Okay, so we're on to the last mediator actually, glycogen. And I think this term we also hear glycogen stores, glycogen reserves. Help us understand what is glycogen and what is a glycogen store maybe, if that's the right term. Tell us.
Glycogen, it's very simple. Our body has, carb reserve. That's glycogen. So we want our glycogen level to be not too full with carbs and not too empty. Because the job of that glycogen is to give the mitochondria carbs when we need a boost of energy. So when we are keeping our glycogen level chronically too high, it means we are all the time will give our mitochondria carbs as fuel. We will see it by waking up more on carb burn, but also the opposite. When we are depleting our glycogen stores and we are getting into critically low glycogen level, then the mitochondria are not having the carbs when we need it. So at that moment, we will break down muscles in order to give that energy. So also in that time, we will see that we are waking up more on carb burn. What we also mentioned in the previous live session during fasting, right? So it's like when we are fasting for too long, we also might see that we're waking up on carb burn versus on fat burn.
On fat burn.
Just another note, we are now about to submit a very, very, very cool paper that shows I will share it once it will be published, but we show that the wake-up breath actually depends on the amount of carb that we consumed the day before. So the more we consume more carb, the wake-up breath will tend to be more rely on carbs oxidation. And the nice thing is you see that, of course, the carbs is one thing that impact, but also age and fasting hours, and all the other strategy that we are talking about.
It's important to add that it's like the glycogen level is it's a balance between the amount of carbs we consume and how much activity level, in the output. So it's all the time it's the balance between that. So obviously, and you also see it in the Lumen recommendation, right? So on days that we see that someone is more active than used to, we increase the amount of carbs because we all the time want to keep the glycogen level in that fluctuation in the healthy range between not too low and not too high.
So this is why when we add a workout, we might get workout carbs or carbs from the nutrition plan. We might see an addition of carbs after certain workouts.
Exactly.
Not all workouts, but some workouts, right? Wow. It's amazing. I'm fascinated, really, and it's really cool to see how all the factors play into each other, and they're all connected. And I think we're used to thinking about just our nutrition is how we can control or think about our metabolism. But what we're sharing here and what we've talked about, it really shows that there's so many factors to go into this.
Definitely.
And your sleep matters, not just when you're eating, but also not just what you're eating, but when you're eating. I think it's really, for me, it's encouraging to see all these ways that we can impact our metabolic health. It almost seems like we can't fail. We have so many options.
And it's a game, Emma.
It's a game.
It should be fun. Wake up, breath game.
It is. It's a game, and we can experiment, and we can try new things.
Experiment, I think, is a great description of it, because I cannot tell what's good for you, for example. I need you to try. I need you to measure, to take these measurements, and by measure your metabolism to learn what best works for you.
So it's such a great feeling to know that I can read my Lumen, I can have the biofeedback about what is working for me. And it's not just about, I think what's so exciting for me and hopefully for our community and for our listeners is that it's about adding things in. It's not about restricting. It's not about taking things out. It's about adding in these small habits to your day and seeing what works for you, seeing what doesn't work for you, and to really, I like to emphasize the adding in more veggies before the pizza, not having the pizza.
Exactly.
So for those of you that have a Lumen, and for those of you that are in our Lumen community, it's time for you to start experimenting and start understanding which of these small changes that we talked about here today can help you and help impact your metabolism. So if you don't have a Lumen, I'm also excited to share with you, for our listeners today, that we have an exclusive coupon code, the code LIVE, L-I-V-E. This code offers 15% off on top of any sale that we already have going on our website. So if you're not already a Lumen user and you want to start experimenting with us, you want to join the community, you want to be part of these experiments, go ahead and buy a Lumen. Use code LIVE, L-I-V-E. And lastly, this was really fun, and I really enjoy hosting.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you.
And we have a survey for you guys. So there's a link in the comments of this page and also on the event page. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if the information was clear. Let us know maybe what you want to see in the future. No promises, maybe pre-workout breath.
And please share your experiments, because I think that, when you see others experiment, you also, have like an idea of what you can see and what you can test on your own. So I think it's by sharing, it's also helping others. So please share.
So experiment, share with us. We love to read it. We're reading along. We're sharing. I'm sharing with Merav and Michal. Look at this person. Look what happened. It's so exciting. They're finding out their metabolism. So we're reading along. We're following you. And thank you guys so much for joining us today. And we'll see you on the next Lumen Live.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you.
It was super fun.
And pleasure.